Yeah, so it was interesting as a wedding photographer because I was on this upward trajectory. So I had this huge carrot in front of me. I thought six figures was it. Like I thought like once you hit six figures, you have made it. And so I booked 25 weddings and then 27 weddings and then 30 weddings. And I was in the middle of that 30 wedding season, which if you do the math, we live in the Midwest. So I was shooting 1 to 2 weddings every single weekend from April to November and then working all week to stay caught up on my workflow. And I remember for the first time in my life, I was like feeling anxious. Like I had this anxiety about me that I knew that what I had built required so heavily on me that no one else could step in and do what I was doing. And that if I were injured or if life happened, like my business would crumble. And so I was just working up, 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 up. And I finally hit this breaking point. And I hate sharing that because I feel like so many entrepreneurs that are successful today push themselves to that breaking point. And it's like, I wish I could protect you from ever hitting that point. But a lot of times that's what's necessary to figure out what your next steps are. And I told my husband, I said, screw six figures. We were just fine when I was making 50 grand a year. I am going to cut my work in half next year. I will never do this again. And I don't care if we eat ramen noodles and live in this condo forever. I want my time back. Like I want to be happy again. I want to have time with my family and be successful at life and not just in business. And that was actually the season that then ended up catapulting me into an entirely new industry because I finally had time again. And I've always shared with people, like, time is my biggest currency. I fiercely protect my time. And so all of the big pivotal changes that have happened in my business happened when I finally gave myself time again to say, what do I want? What's worth it? Where's my time best spent? What is my superpower? And so there's definitely different seasons of hustle and then like hit the brakes and figure out what's next and recalibrate.
That's great. And, I think you nailed it right when you said entrepreneurs get so focused on a single vision and they just put their head down and they go. But the real secret, and a lot of people have discovered this, is diversifying. And it's not spreading yourself too thin.
Yes.
It's just putting your hands in different buckets, AKA revenue streams.
Yes.
Right? So now you do so much, right?
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur, an educator, a blogger, a photographer. You have a podcast called Goal Digger, which is amazing. So how do you make the decision then what you're going to focus on at what time?
For me, what fuels me is freedom. And I've really established that this year is like, what does freedom look like in my life? And for me, I once heard somebody say that the average millionaire has, I think, 7 revenue streams. And I was like, I'm going to make 8, overachiever status. And so I set out to figure out different ways to monetize my brand, my business, who I am, what we do. And the way that I see freedom is that I could shut down any one of those at any point when I'm just done, and it wouldn't impact my life or my level of happiness. And so when I started to look at, okay, what is a true brand? Because I think most people set off and they build a business, but a business sells a product or a service, and a brand is the personality behind those. Like, you trust a brand, you trust their passions, and a brand is also multidimensional. Because I am my brand, it's not confusing to people that one day I can talk about miscarriage and the next day I can talk about marketing, and then the following day I can talk about my favorite skincare that I'm using. It's because it's all based on me and what I love. And so when I look at different revenue streams, I think today I was actually counting because I was like, I thought I had 8, but I think I have 10. And when you start to look at life that way, it's like this life of abundance, but it's also this life of freedom, because I know if at any point I wake up and I say, I don't really want to do that anymore, I still have legs to stand on, and I know that I still am going to be successful.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And it's interesting that you say freedom, because that is the number one goal for a lot of people. And Tony, at his Business Mastery event, he even says, how many of you guys got into this because you wanted freedom, because you want more free time? And then everybody raises their hand, and then he says, yeah, how's that working out for you? So if you have so many things going on, how do you juggle them, right? Like, how do you prioritize, and how do you find time to do the things that are most important to you, whether they be business or personal? And then, how do you organize yourself?
Yeah. So I'm smiling as you're saying that, because I can truly say, like, I feel ultimate freedom. And I don't think that many people would assume that when you look at the way my business is and the content that we're creating. When I was finally pregnant with my daughter, who is now 1 year old, I knew that, like, okay, I've got to work hard to build this business up to that place where I can step away and just be a mom and be present with her. So that was my challenge. And the way that I did that was I started with one thing and I got really good at it. I created a system and then I handed it off. And a lot of times when I look back, I was skeptical of hiring. There were so many voices in my head that said, you're not ready to hire. Your business isn't big enough. You don't make enough money to hire. You can't afford to hire. Nobody's going to care for this the way that you do. Like, who do you think you are to hire? And it really held me back for so long because I believed all of those things. But when I look back, I realized that my grip was so tied around my money that I was just letting my time be spent without really understanding where it was going and what the value of it was. And so while we have 8, 9, 10 revenue streams today, there is only 2 things that are required of me in my entire business. And that is to be the visionary, to be the person in the driver's seat, to establish where we're going next and what that's going to look like, and to be the face and the voice. And literally everything else can be taken care of by someone else. And so it's been incredible because over the last 3 years, I went from 1 employee to 2, and now we have 10 women that are employed by my company. And it's this intimate group where everyone is staying in their lane and they're living in their superpower, and yet they're executing on a level that I would never be able to execute at, especially now as a mom. And so when I think about freedom, I'm like, I have it. Today, I was sitting here just relaxing and working on the strategy and the vision while my team was executing a lot of the tasks. And I just think as women, we want to take on all the things. We believe we can do all the things. And while we can do anything, that doesn't mean we should do everything.